got a cat in your throat.
Yeah, I got a cat fucking problem today. That's for sure. Hi everybody. You already know what it is. It's Whispers from the Void with your boys, Big V himself, Derby Test.
Yeah, Big V. I'm Phil Derby Test for the Intimates. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
And yeah, you, like I said, you know who I am. So man, we got we have a banger of an episode coming up for you next week, so you automatically know what this one is. It's a filler. So we're going to talk about labels today. Speaking of labels and crazy stuff, I got a new flag for the background. What I want to do is I want to start getting more flags so I can have a new one every week. But chances are that won't happen because I'm a cheap bitch. So right now I have this beautiful creation from the 1995 release of Scattered Remnants right here in good old Massachusetts, Fitchburg to be precise. Inerrant Perversion. It literally came out before Phil and I was born, so that's cool. They have a Bandcamp page. The band was recently reactivated in 2018 with a new lineup, some old members still there. And I highly recommend you guys check out their Bandcamp page. I listen to all three of their albums that they have on there, and they're all really, really good. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how fucking really good they were. Brutal Death at its finest. Definitely give them a listen. And if you want a nice fucking sick flag like that, you could try. They might not have any more, but definitely keep in mind, it's a pretty cool fucking design. You know, it's got that nice old school kind of death metal, theme. And you know what I'm going for? The feel. Yeah, like you look at it and you're just like, oh man, that's like crushing. I really like him. I really like the band. I'm going to start trying to highlight some more of the underground death metal scene around here. I have some other stuff I got sent in correlation with the flag. So, we'll get some different shout outs going and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely give Scattered Remnants a look up. Facebook, Instagram, all that fun shit. Yeah, I had to get that out of the way. Then I have my $10 chicken share sign.
Oh, it was a cool sign though.
Man, if we could be sponsored by KFC, I would just quit. I would quit right here, dude.
You're the only one getting sponsored because I'm not American. Like yeah. It could be PFK, which is the KFC here, like Poulet Frit Kentucky, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken in French. But no, I'm not sure if PFK will sponsor us. KFC, I don't know. I don't fucking know.
I highly doubt it. But hey, you know what? A man can dream, can he? So anyway, we're towards the end of the month of February. Month of March is looking like it's going to be some big stuff going on.
I'm excited.
We have a very big guest coming on. Might be one of our biggest, honestly, coming on for next week. So I'm pretty excited. Phil's pretty excited. It's Phil's get, so big shout outs to Phil. And it's also the last episode that Phil is going to be sober. So we're celebrating today.
Honestly, like being sober was cool, but I think because I wasn't that alcoholic and I wasn't drinking that much, I think it didn't do much to me. Like my sleep was a nightmare every time. So like I got like no changes, not like Matt or other peeps that were doing the sober February. Like Matt is sleeping was very good. Mine was terrible, like always. So so yeah, like I'm excited to drink again, but I'm realizing that maybe I would just like going not too much. Sometimes maybe going a little bit crazy, but most of the time just being straight with myself. And
it's all about that pacing.
Yeah, the limits, man, the limits.
Yeah, I definitely, it's something that I've thought about back and forth here and there. I mean, dude, you know, we're telling you guys this, but like we're like 25 and like, you know, 24. So it's pretty almost, I feel like it's almost inept that like we talk about this and sometimes, but obviously alcohol is still a drug. You know, we don't do a PSA like this very often, but yeah, you know, Phil's whole month has meaning, and anyone else who ever decides that you have an issue, you know, go seek help and go do what you got to do, and don't ever feel the pressure. Really, I don't really do much else. We both share a love of craft beer. It's kind of a thing, but obviously, you know, like any other hobby, you can get carried away, and you know, sometimes things get overboard. So it's always nice to know, I guess, as a word of advice from two people so young, is just, you know, often maybe check yourself. Make sure that you still are in control and make sure that you're still commanding the ship, because obviously at the end of the day, that if you still have control and you're still doing your thing, that's all that matters, and you can still enjoy it responsibly and properly. If not, then you definitely have to ask yourself some questions. So
keywords: limit yourself.
Yes.
But have fun too.
Oh, yes. Have a blast. We are all about having fun.
Speaking of having fun, we can talk about our drinks.
Well, you go first, brother.
Okay, so for my last sober February drink, I've discovered this brand. It's funny because at my school, I'm doing some photo shoot, and I did photo shoot for bottles of beer and alcohol, and this one was the only one not beer. It's called 1642 Tonic. It's tonic water. So it's not
from
like
1642.
Yeah, 1642. And it's not like tonic, like gin tonic, because there will be alcohol in it. There's no alcohol. It's only tonic water. But tonic water, it's cool. Like they said on the bottle, there's some flavor to it. It's saying like it's subtle and Nordic. I'm like, okay, if it's too subtle, it's only fucking water. So I will put some this little guy. It's from a company called Monsieur Cocktail, or in English, Mr. Cocktail. It's called Tonic Québecois. It's C. Buckthorn. Yeah, I think if I put that,
I can't fucking see, dude.
C.
Buckthorn.
Yeah, Buckthorn.
Oh, so it's like a weed.
Yeah, like C. Buckthorn and Labrador tea. So it's like, it's a mix for cocktails. Like it's a syrup for cocktails. You put that and it's a cocktail by itself, basically, because the guy that is doing it, it's called Patrice Plante, which is the CEO and founder of the company Monsieur Cocktail. And this guy is a mixologist. He's doing cocktails since I don't know how many years. And yeah, so this guy is a mixologist, and he was like, how can I put my drinks at the home of people? How can I put my drinks over there? And he created basically those syrup. So let's open those bad boy. First time fuck, it's been a long time since I didn't use that tool. And I'm bringing back the Voxen Ops.
Ooh.
So it's
just
gasified.
in time. Just in time.
Oh yeah, gasified. A little gassy, and we put the little syrup. I don't know how many to put because I don't have shot glasses, because they are counting in shot glasses. I don't know why. Like that.
Or
that's
like
good.
that counting glass that they have, or that little stainless steel thing that they use.
Yeah, like I don't have counting glass or anything. I'm just like, oh, let's put all the bottle. So yeah. So it looks like this. So it doesn't look like a beer. It looks like a cocktail. I love the smell of it. Fuck. Tastes like a cocktail.
Well, I mean, you sure there's not booze in that?
There's no booze. Like, you got this sea buckthorn and Labrador tea that is doing a little punch to it. It gives the bitterness to it. There's a bitterness, like it's not a bad bitterness. It's like a good bitterness, like a beer. In fact, maybe a little bit stronger, but very good, to be honest. I'm impressed.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So what is your good stuff, Evan?
Well, right now I had, first off, I want to say big shout out and congratulations to my wife. She got her test results back. She took the OT occupational therapy exam. She passed. She is now a full-fledged occupational therapist after like 6.5 years or 7.5 years of schooling. So huge congrats to her. So we started drinking early.
That's perfect.
I actually had started with the Three Floyds Alpha King, which is basically my favorite of the Three Floyds at the moment. Out of like the 6 that I've had, that's my favorite. And I'm trying to finish that because what I have next is another, this isn't a local one, but I have a local beer with me, which is called, help me out, Phil, Bière De
Fête.
Yeah. What Phil said. It's a cat with a bunch of lights.
Bière De Fête. So that means, let's say in that context, Christmas beer.
Yes.
Or holiday beer or I don't know, not birthday, like anniversary beer. Yeah, anniversary beer. That could fit.
The can art I can see here is by someone named Danielle Brooks. It's a strong spiced lager. I have never had, and me and Phil were talking about this right before we started recording, but it's I've never had a spiced lager. Typically when you see spiced, you're thinking ale. You can have like a, during the winter time, you would have like a spiced ale or something. This is a spiced lager. It sits at 7% flat, which is abnormal for a lager. I would say, at least from what I've had. So it's been a little bit of a difficult kick. And I had like 2 of them when I first got them, and I decided to age them a little bit just to kind of see what would happen. So hopefully it worked out the way I wanted to. It basically highlights ginger, raisin, and then it says festive on that. If you guys can see that, it says ginger, raisin, and festive, and it's from Redemption Rock Brewing Company right here in Worcester. So big shout out to those guys. I have had a lot of their beers recently, and they have actually been very good. Nice. I definitely am more like, if I had to rank them, they're still 3rd on the list behind Greater Good and Wormtown. Wormtown being probably one of the bigger ones right now. If you're from, Massachusetts, New England area, you'll know that like down at Gillette Stadium at Patriot Place, where the Patriots play, you have the Wormtown down there. So, they obviously are the biggest out of Worcester at the moment. Some people would lump in Treehouse with that. I don't. I think Treehouse is in Charlton. They do just as well on their own without having to, usurp everybody else like they already have. So they do a good job. So I will be cracking that probably right now.
Nice. Igloo, 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 igloo.
Yeah.
He is with us. He is drinking his beer like us.
Hey, Redemption Rock, if anyone from Redemption Rock actually listens to this, I want some glassware because all I have is Greater Good. And if you could give me some glassware, I would love that.
Can you sponsor us?
Could anybody out there sponsor us? That would be sweet. Like if you could just throw us a bone or something. But yeah, I mean, spiced ale, basically that's what it looks like. I do think it's a little darker.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, the light doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, but
that's closer to what it actually looks like.
It's like red a little bit.
It's not as dark as it looks like in here.
It's reddish.
Like a cough syrup almost kind of look,
It made me think of Lager de Noël, Christmas lager that I had from Trois Mousquetaires.
I will tell you the ginger is very apparent, obviously, in the spicing. The lager is a little less now. So aging it has helped, at least with my palate. It took the edge off a little bit. There was something about the lager feel with the spice that really kind of like, I don't know, kind of fucked with my head a little bit because lagers typically, aren't super heavy. So to have something like this at 7% and with the spices and stuff just like was messing with me really bad. But excuse me. Ultimately, it's pretty good. So yeah, now that we have done all of that, I'm sorry for all the shout outs, guys. Big stuff happening over here. We're going to talk about some labels today. So we had a discussion with some buddies last week that kind of like just brought this whole thing up. And so we're just going to kind of talk about some of our favorite labels and sort of like how we really feel about them overall. I don't really know how Phil really feels, but like I'm in the age that we live in now, I'm almost anti-label. And so there are a lot of bands who have gone this route, maybe have been on the label before, who didn't renew a contract and decided to kind of go on their own, still release music and do their own thing and manage themselves, kind of like run themselves in that manner, or bands who have kind of come up on their own fandom, whether it be from YouTube, Spotify, whatever, and kind of like got into like this realm where they have this group of fans, like a solid group that really love them, that support them wholeheartedly. If they put merch out, if they put music out, they're always there. So they kind of have been able to ride that all the way through to where they are now, in which case they've been independent. And obviously, as musicians, you almost, I would say, naturally lean independent because it's your music and you want to be able to, make it at your pace, do what you want to do with it. You don't want to always be put into I don't want to say niche, but like a timeline. You don't want to be put into a timeline. Like you want to put out music the way you want it and at your pace, like I said. And I feel that nowadays, it has become more and more apparent that a lot of bands don't need labels. They just don't want to be a part of them, don't need them. And, you have bands, off the top of my head, the first one to come up is Shadow of Intent. They basically got famous off of YouTube and, doing Halo covers. I think they were doing like Halo theme song covers and stuff. And kind of like mixing their own music in there, and they kind of just gained this fandom from that, and then ultimately made a band, made an album or an EP, made an album, and then so on and so forth. But they've been independent their whole way. There have been other bands that have basically had labels that became independent because of it. there's one that's on the tip of my tongue that I can't actually. I guess the one that I think of off the top of my head real quickly is Cryptopsy. They've been independent a while when they were releasing like the Book of Suffering and things like that. But there's another one, but I can't remember right now. But so I mean, yeah, you know, it really depends on how you feel about them. And now Phil is going to give you his analysis.
Well, I think it always depends on what is your situation, really. Like, there was a time in the music industry where labels were fucking important because there were no Spotify, Audible, or I don't know, like Google Music or YouTube Music or Apple or whatever. It was not existing because internet was not existing. Yes, younglings, internet was not existing, and I'm a youngling. So yeah, internet was not really there, really existent. And when you are doing music at that time, what is your only solution? Getting a label. And the thing is, like, you couldn't be like independent or just starting your label, but you only release your own shit. That was a thing that was going on, like the Misfits when they were beginning. Danzig just said, "Hey, I will make my own label, and it's called Plan B Records or something like that." Maybe if I'm mistaken, put it in the comments or let me know, because I don't know all the Misfit stories very well, but if I remember correctly, I think it was that. He started his own label, and because he wanted to be independent. So yeah, like at that time, labels were fucking important, and more the internet was democratized, more and more the needs of label were dropping, because now with DistroKid, for example, for only 20 bucks a year, you can put your music on internet like that. 20 bucks a year. And I'm not sponsored by any means by DistroKid. I use DistroKid sometimes. And yeah, it's a very good platform if you are independent artists that want to have the music on Spotify and all. And yeah, so today you don't need labels. Sometimes it's good, because if you don't have labels, you don't have the money. You have less money than someone who is on label, who have backups, who have people who can provide money to do things. And yeah, like not provide everything, but help a lot on the distribution and all. There is another case like Devin Townsend, when he was beginning his music story. He decided with his own stuff that he was creating his own label called Heavy Devi. But it's complicated because he created his label, but what he's doing, all the production and all the things, it's him. It's his record label. All the distribution, though, it was Century Media, if I remember. Or now it's Inside Our Music, but Inside Our Music is the property of Century Media, so it's basically the same shit. And yeah, but it's his own label, even if there's distribution by Century. So there's some case like that. Like, my point of view as a musician, if you don't want to get fucked by labels, go independent. If you think that you won't get fucked by a label, and you think that they can be helpful, go with the label. Like,
now, I mean, real quick, that's the horror stories. You know, you hear the horror stories about getting screwed by labels as far as money, and you get taken advantage of, and the deadlines and things. You know, different aspects of the business. And
I'm a bit negative because
I think labels are just part of that. They're like basically the faces of what happens in that business.
Yeah. Like I'm saying negative shit about label, but like I heard a story about Black Crown Initiate when they were on E1 Entertainment One Music, and the thing
and we
is,
heard
like,
it from a good source.
Yeah,
we heard it from a good source.
And yeah, like the thing is with that, if I remember correctly, it was like for releasing the album it was okay, but for touring the album it wasn't. That's what I heard. Like, I don't know if it's real what I'm saying or if it's totally bullshit.
No, I mean, if I'm pretty sure it's the same person we've talked to. So
yeah, maybe I'm not sure who is the person. If the person recognizes himself, right? I recognize myself in the, comments.
Last time I remember when we were talking to him, they were a good source. So
yeah, but I don't remember the person.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I remember.
Shit, you will tell me after.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to shit on labels. It is. It's so easy because they make most of the money, but ultimately it's, you know, they're making the money off the bands, and but it doesn't do justice to the good ones. There are good labels out there. A lot of people think that what is a Unique Leader? Unique Leader ultimately does, you know, they treat artists fairly. They do everything that they're supposed to do. You know, and that they're a very big label, so they're a very big example. And a lot of smaller labels too, ultimately, especially if they're artist run, the guys who have done previous work in the industry and things like that, gone out and done their own little things. They are also very, very good. They think about the artist, because at the end of the day, when you join a label, you're trying to get the most out of it. You know, it's easy for us to sit here and tell you that Spotify does just as much work. It doesn't. No. It's not even close. And Spotify doesn't even pay you as much as they should to begin with. I think Bandcamp would be the greatest example. But ultimately, what happens is, and it's tough to say that right now in the times that we live in, but, you know, with Bandcamp, it's up to the consumer to put in the work, to buy, and to, you know, basically self-promote and do the things like that. Word of mouth things. It really comes down to, with labels, the big ticket item is touring. Like Phil said, you know, you gotta tour. You have to get out there. The label put you there. It's on the poster. You're at the show. They know who put on the show. They know, you know, who the promoter is. You know, sometimes, and, you know, get the venue, whatever. And that's really what it comes down to. And a lot of the times in the big circuits, and I mean, let's be real. When touring really starts picking back up, it's going to be these big labels that have all the connections that for what's left, really. You know, it's going to be these bands that are a part of the bigger labels that you see first, probably.
Of course.
They have the connections and they have the ability, and they're probably still going to have the means to be able to send bands out there and to be able to have guys go out and do what they got to do. So, yeah, your Metal Blade, your Unique Leader, Century Media, you know, the big labels like that are going to be the ones that kind of push back the whole touring aspect of, you know, musicianship and whatever, and getting that whole thing back going. Obviously, you're going to have, like, I've seen it. We have local venues and stuff like that didn't survive. So basically, touring as we know it is not going to be even close to what it was before. It's going to be very limited. Tickets are going to run out fucking fast because and you're probably going to be lucky if you have a venue that's still open, maybe miles and miles away. And if you want to go see a show, you're going to have to sacrifice. So, it's the big labels that are going to be able to attain that type of market, and they're going to be able to get everybody back in, and really profit off of that. And, not to really just like say it as so much as a bad thing, because it really isn't a bad thing. You do what you got to do. It's just kind of like how the business works, and I think that a lot of people are always saying, oh, it would be great if you can go and be independent and do all these great things. It's just that, like I had mentioned Shadow of Intent. I think Shadow of Intent's almost like an outlier because of how well they've done. Because a lot of the time when you're independent, you probably don't do as well as those guys have done. To their credit.
I think I want to modify or clarify what I said about if you want to go independent or if you want to get fucked. It's not getting fucked. Okay, I will modify. It's more okay. If you want to release music, getting on tours easily and having more connection, go with a label. That's what I would say now. Go with a label if you want to do that. If you want to be known out there, go doing that.
I spilled. Just keep talking.
That's okay. So, yeah, go with a label if you want to be not celebrities, but if you want to be known a little bit more, if you want to go on tour, when tours will come back, maybe, go do that. If your needs of doing tour is very low, you don't want to go tour, or you just want to release your own shit, go independent. Go with DistroKid, go with Bandcamp. If you only want to do music without doing touring, if that doesn't bother you to be known, if you just want to release music to be known, yeah, but without doing touring, that's fine. And also, you can be independent and do like Shadow of Intent. Shadow of Intent, I think their secret is they have a lot of connection. That's the secret. Like with management companies and other shit like that, I think they have a lot of connection. That's why they did tours. That's why they are known now, because they got connection. Like I don't see otherwise how they are known like that, how they got their shit on the market. I don't see how.
I do know that there have been bands before, bigger bands, who when it came time for a touring, when it came time for a tour, those bands were asked, hey, who do you want as, supportive bands? And that was one of the other ways that they were able to get in, is a lot of people really dig their stuff and said, hey, why don't you get this band in to support us, and they fucking killed it. They do a great live show and everything like that. So, that's another big part of it. A lot of the time, especially in metal, we have a lot of these smaller labels and stuff that people really tack onto. Like two off of the top of my head that I actually had written down was, if you guys had listened to the end of the year episodes when we talked about with Jerry Monk of Vox and Hops, the metal architect. We have, I talk about $20 Spin and how big of a year I thought they had between Terminal Nation, Black Magnet, Archimendous, Bile Creature. Like they just fucking killed it as far as like these huge bands that came out that had great album releases, and they were all fucking awesome. So like $20 Spin definitely had a fucking banger year. Another one that I really like is Maggot Stomp, another smaller label, Triple B Records, which they have they're in DC, New York, and Boston as far as like headquarters kind of stuff. They're more of like a hardcore label, but you know, they still do great things. You know, I really appreciate the smaller labels and what they do, but a lot of time they're mostly stepping stones ultimately to get to bigger ones. You know, if you look at a great band, for example, is Fuming Mouth recently had signed to, was it Unique Leader?
No, Nuclear.
Oh, Nuclear Blast. Yeah. Fuming Mouth. I forget where they were originally, but they had recently just signed to Nuclear Blast, another great label that does a lot from what I understand. So, you know, if you can get in with some of the bigger ones that really support you, it's great. But a lot of time, you know, it's not bad finding a lot of the smaller labels, you know, to just kind of help you along, or even just, you know, keep you going and keep things kosher. But, you know, we talk about metal in this aspect, but I mean, there's a lot of different styles of music that have the almost same issues. I think rap especially has a huge problem in this area because, you know, you have a lot of rappers who get super big on certain labels and then they leave and start their own.
Yeah.
They basically, they'll leave, you know, one of the guys right off the top of my head is J. Cole did this, Dreamville. He got pretty big, decided he was going to go start his own label, started signing his own guys. It's just kind of like how that especially like that part of the music industry is rampant with it. And I mean, again, one of the other things that people say that Tupac got shot for was because he was going to leave Death Row Records and go start his own. He was going to go start his own record company. He was going to start his own label. So
it's funny that you say Death Row and you're talking about Tupac because honestly, I'm not completist or something, but now I remember that.
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me if one day we hear about that, if we hear about the real Tupac story, because if you saw Straight Outta Compton, which was the story of NWA, you know, in that movie that Dr. Dre did start Death Row Records with another dude, but that other dude was a real psychopath. But for real, a big psychopath. Like, now he's in prison.
Good night.
He's in prison because, like,
I have no idea.
Like I don't know. Like, go check the movie. That movie is so good. But like, there was a thing. The other dude of Death Row just go to his parking. He sees someone that is at his parking. The dude is just like going out and like going to beat the shit out of the dude that just stole his parking. Like, not asking like, hey, it's my parking, or taking another parking. No, the guy is just going nuts and go beat the shit out of the other dude. I'm like,
in the
what?
streets, Phil, you take what you want.
You take what you want. Like,
in the streets.
Straight out of Compton.
Yeah, I know. Crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
I love it.
No, Lee, so the same funny on the ground.
Yeah. I guess ultimately how we feel about labels is that case by case scenario is how I would put it. We're case by case. There's definitely some that help and mean well, and there's others that take advantage, use you for money, work you the fucking death, and don't ultimately care about what your band wants and what you have as a vision. They really just want to push out as much music as they can. Basically, you know, bleed the lemon.
Yeah, of course. And you were talking about your favorite labels.
I had labels. Two. I had $20 Spin and Maggot Stomp. I feel that ultimately they're labels that some would probably say they have a niche, but I would say that, you know what, they sign who they feel confident in and have a lot of love for, and I can appreciate that. Triple B being the same, and you know, just I really appreciate those guys. I love the little labels. You got to love your little labels, man, because ultimately the little labels is what gets you, if you're listening to this podcast, at least it gets you that extreme music. You know, you have your big boys, but a lot of the time I feel that what happens with the big boys is they sign a band that maybe was, real extreme, really had a good thing going. And ultimately they go off in a different direction because, the scene calls for it, or they're trying to fit a certain time frame or agenda or whatever. And you kind of lose the essence of that original band. So I really do appreciate labels that have the mindset of like, this band fucking kicks ass, keep doing what you're doing, blah, 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 do what you got to do. And, really stay true to them. Cause more often than not, you go big, it comes with a whole different set of issues and a whole different set of dilemmas. And it's always sad to see a good band get destroyed by mainstream media, mainstream sort of aspects.
Yeah, like if we are talking about little labels, Redefining Darkness and Everlasting Spew Records, they are fucking
awesome.
great. And my favorite is a little bit more big, but at that time they were little. It's Season of Mist. Season of Mist, which Benighted released a few of their album on that. Archspire is on Season of Mist. Beyond Creation, before they were starting with PRC Music, and now they are on Season. Abysmal Dawn too. There's a lot of good metal acts that are on Season of Mist. There's one label. It's a very good label, but I think there will someday. It doesn't surprise me if they fuck up. It's Artisan Era. And let me explain. A lot of people love Artisan Era. A lot of people love the bands on it. Abiotic, Inferi, and
I love Abiotic. Inferi.
They are Abiotic and Inferi on.
They just
Artisan
had a
Era.
killer release too.
Warforged, one of my favorite band live. That band was fucking sick when I saw them with Inferi and Black Run Initiate. They were fucking intense. But my point of view of Artisan Era is like, they have great roasters, but most of the roasters are resembling themselves. Like what I think when Inferi is good, Abiotic is fucking great, but there's some bands that are releasing like Demon King. They released it's the guy from Inferi and other tech death metal bands, but what my feel about that EP they release, it sounds Inferi. And my feel with that, I think they will do the same if they are not like signing other bands that are a little bit different than the tech death metal, like with Solo all over there and fucking great blast beat like Gravity Blast and all. Like if they are not experimenting a lot with with tech death, if they are not like going a little bit forward and going a little bit deeper with the genre, I think they will have the same problem than Sumerian Records. I said it, like throw me tomatoes if you want. If they are going on the same way, signing the same band all the time, I think they will do the same problem with. They will have the same problem like Sumerian Records had. And now Sumerians, we know the story. They got Smashing Pumpkins on their labels because they are desperate. Oops.
Yeah, I mean, Sumerian is that poster boy for everything that we just talked about. You know, a big label that had a lot of stuff going for them, but ultimately they wanted to hit a certain market and they wanted to hit a certain time frame, a certain niche, and that's what all the fucking bands were. They had no diversity within their label, and ultimately, now they're resorted to Smashing Pumpkins. So
yeah, Sumerian records, they start their own genre, basically like Sumerian metal. All the bands on Sumerian were doing like the same thing, like you did, like Born of Osiris. Periphery was different, but Periphery was one of the cases that were like, okay, fuck this shit, I'm out, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, they went on and became independent, started their own.
Yeah, 3 Dot Recording. And they got other project of members of Periphery on that. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I hope that Artisan Era don't do the same mistake that Sumerian did. In my opinion, if you like Sumerian, I don't judge you. I don't fucking care. You like the labels you want. But that's my opinion about it. So yeah, my favorite, Season of Mist, Everlasting Spew, and Redefining Darkness. They are fucking good labels. But Season of Mist.
And like I said, I got $20 Spin, Maggot Stomp, Triple B Records, and I also really enjoy independent artists. If you're independent and you're able to kill it, then all the power to you, brother. That's good stuff.
Go independent. So, you did your shout out, I think.
I have more if you need it. I do. I have more.
Like I have my shout out. It's simple. I just talked about it. Abiotic, the new album Ikigai, fucking great album. Like when I was talking about Abiotic, a little bit different. Like when I was saying Abiotic and Inferi, Abiotic with that album, they've been so much different than other artists from Artisan Era. They've been so much different. Like. So much different. The music is like, it's Japanese style, and the tech def is like, you don't have the tech def like big soloing all the time and go big blast beat all the time. It's not that. That album got some velocity. It got some mood changes. Very great. Honestly, go check out Ikigai by Abiotic.
That is also, I'm going to double down on that. It's also going to be my shout out. Also with Scattered Remnants, Abiotic, really fucking good. I love me some fucking great tech death. And obviously, again, if you listen to last year's top 10, I had a lot of it on there. So very excited. I really love the album. I believe the guitarist right here in Massachusetts works at a dispensary right here in Holden. So that's cool. I would love to have them on the podcast one day. Maybe we'll get our wish. Maybe I'll be able to go there and purchase some legal weed from them and be able to entice them on or something. But,
honestly, that could be nice. You just go to the dispensary and you're like, hey man, you're from Abiotic? Yeah. You want to be on my podcast? What is your podcast? Whispers from the Void. Yeah.
Yeah, like he'll probably just be like, nah, fuck you. Like, you're a little shitty podcast. Like everyone's got a shitty podcast now. But and then the other one I wanted to highlight was Buck's Burger and Whiskey Bar. Just as a sort of like if you're like an artist and you come down, you want to go play, you're gonna go play at the Palladium, because luckily the Palladium has now been it's basically been okay. So bands are still going to be able to go and play there. Hopefully when touring starts back up, they're going to be again one of the big ones that gets to go and we get to go back and see. And also Ralph's Diner, go and check them out. And again, local bands, a lot of them play there. But yeah, big, support your local venues, support your local restaurants, support all that local stuff. Because as much as everybody says it's getting better, now we're coming up on March. It's gonna be a year. I find it very hard to believe that a lot of places were prepared for a year's worth of no touring. That's tough. So please go out, support your local places, support your local bands, support your local restaurants, support your local venues.
Buy local.
Buy local. All that
let's
shit, dude.
Let's say it in French. Nuts. Let's say it in French because that was a phrase very repetitive in Quebec, in the province of Quebec. Achetons local. Buy local.
What he fucking said.
Yeah, buy local. That's
what
I said.
Looking forward to next week's episode, folks. Stay tuned. It's going to be a fucking sweet one. I will tell you this. It's going to be involving a lot of beer and some music, not necessarily metal. So, you know, it's going to be nice. It's going to be cool. Stay tuned.
It's going to be different.
It's going to be different.
But you will like it. Our guest is very nice.
Our guest is a cool dude.
Yeah, very cool dude.
Very cool dude. So yeah, without further ado, folks, you know what it is. I'm Evan.
And I'm Phil. Thank you guys for watching, guys and gals, and see you on the next episode. Cheers.